Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the 7Hz Dioko. This is their latest IEM to start with, and their second attempt at hopefully creating another market success in terms of planar IEM. This time it's been a collaboration with Clinical, and knowing that it's a collaboration with Clinical, he will not obviously sign his name below if it isn't properly done and if it isn't tuned the way that he likes. Okay. Um, this is the case that it comes in, and right off the bat, to be able to offer for $99 a case of this quality is something which deserves merit. I mean, this is a type of case that I first came in contact with something similar with when I got the Yin Moonlight, and what can you say? Really nice case. Cable gets wound up over here. I am sit over there. Brings a nice set of tips, although they don't exactly look very premium, very classy, because these colors are not exactly what I would say, the perfect choice. But the quality of the tips is there, and I actually tried the tips out, and it's fine. The tips are fine, and they match the Dioko perfectly. There's really nothing wrong with the tips, apart from, like I said, just their look, which is a little bit, it could be, might rock somebody's somebody's boat, but it doesn't exactly rock my boat. But that's tips. That's it. I'm not using the stock tips. I'm using the 07s. As you can see, I'm using the 07s, which are my go-to tip and works perfectly for me. And actually, all of the IEMs I've got in front of me here are basically using 07s. Only the Let's Sure and the Raptgo are not using the 07s. The Raptgo over here. Let me just rearrange this a little bit. Okay. Otherwise, the P1 Max and the Timeless are both using the 07. As for the IEM, well, first of all, the cable. Again, my congratulations to 7Hz. They offered a really nice 4-core cable. Really, really nice. It looks very, very nice. Very pretty cable. And for the $99, not expecting it. It's got some branding over there, Dioko, as well over there. Sal notes, which I don't exactly know what that means, but anyway. And the IEMs themselves. Again, they've kind of gone that road of that style that they've got on the Timeless and the Eternal. Okay. And let me just clean up here the faceplate, because it is a bit of a fingerprint magnet. There you go. I mean, look at that. Looks like some sort of a gem. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful IEM. Beautiful IEM. Fit is good. It's good. No complaints. But actually, funny enough, and I'm guessing this has to do with the fact that it's an oval shape as opposed to the Timeless round shape. It actually knocks my earlobes, more than the Timeless. And the Timeless, in my particular case, actually fits better than the Dioko. That's just me. Maybe other people won't have that issue, but the Timeless, which was object of some fit issues with some people, in my case, it fits me better than the Dioko. But that's it. In terms of its overall weight and so on, it's got a nice weight to it. Once the fit is obtained properly, once I've been able to put it in properly, it isolates very nicely. It's not obtrusive in the sense of you get tired of having him in your ears or anything of the sort. Really nothing to say. They are using, as was the case as well at the time, some sort of a semi-vented or semi-opened design. Those 3 vents there. The same thing with the 7Hz, you see there. Okay. What is different here is the driver. It's a newer driver, apparently also designed in-house, 14.6 millimeter, and it uses dual magnet system, so a magnet on the front and on the rear of the membrane. So that will obviously enable a better control of the diaphragm or the membrane or whatever you want to call it. Which is different from the original, which was just a single-sided magnet system. Anyway, with well, let's get straight into the sound, because that's what we want all to get to know. What is the sound of the Dioko like? What does it sound like? And if I've laid out these five contenders in the manner that I've laid them out, it's kind of to give a better perception of how things kind of scale, okay, from the most neutral to the most, and this is gonna sound weird, but well, the most bass heavy, okay, which is the Rapco. So P1 Max, 7 Hz Dioko, 7 Hz Timeless, the granddaddy, Let's Shure S12, and the Rapco Hook X. I don't have the TRN here, I don't have the Muse, simply because I didn't think it made sense comparing those two. Not that I don't like the TRN, I do like the TRN, for example, but I just thought that it would make more sense to compare them with these. Why? Because, like I said initially, these are more neutral, these are more bass, warmer bass heavy, let's put it that way. Okay, let's start talking sound. Let's start talking, you know, what is the Dioko all about. Okay, first thing, in terms of bass, if this is an IEM, which is obviously a collaboration with Clinical, it will undeniably have the typical Clinical bass signature, which is sub bass emphasis, reduced mid bass, and by doing that, what you basically doing is you then opening up mids, vocals, instruments. You're opening up the ability of that IEM to be very resolving, okay, because you've cleaned up the mid bass, which can at times, or can sometimes, muddy up that cleanliness of the sound. And that's exactly what we have here. We've got a very nice bass, okay, a little bit thin on the mid bass, so if you're looking for a little bit of impact, and so, not exactly the best, but very nice bass, very high quality bass. Because it lacks that mid bass thump, it's a little bit on the thin side, so it might not match certain libraries the best. It might not match a library that likes to listen to hip hop and EDM ideally. But if you like to listen to, let's say, vocal centric music, some classical music, jazz, this is absolutely amazing. As compared to what I have in front of me here, how does the bass stack up? Well, these two are the most similar, although this does have just a smidge, a little bit more mid bass. So it will, well, it's got a little bit more mid bass, and also has a little bit less, and I'll show you in a moment the graph so you'll understand. It also has a little bit less energy in the mids, in the mids, upper mids, and presence area, thus giving the perception that there is a little bit more of a warmer bass in this set, the P1. But yes, it does have a little bit more of a slightly warmer presentation than the Dioko. It doesn't sound at times as thin as the Dioko, especially with male voices. With regards to the timeless, the Dioko sounds, well, let me put it the other way. This sounds bloated and colored and thick by comparison to the Dioko. Not that it is, because there are two IEMs here which actually have got even more bass, but you notice straight away that there's a huge difference in terms of the bass with regards to these two. Huge difference. That mid bass thump is present in the timeless, while there it's lacking. It will complement certain things, certain male voices especially better. It will give some extra emphasis to certain instruments, which the Dioko then will just present them well, but in a more restrained, more polite manner. Okay, what I've just said for the timeless basically applies again to the S12 and to the Rapco. I mean, these two especially are the ones which have got the biggest, or the most bass, and I mean, it's a clean, textured, impactful bass that if you like guts, definitely these two are the ones to go for. Okay. Moving on to the mids. The mids is again with Clinical's way of tuning. The mids are where the Dioko really shines, and these two particularly are the ones for me and my music that I think have got the best mids. The P1 didn't get much or hasn't gotten much love. I just don't understand why. Like I've mentioned in my review, if I am to flaw it in anything, is that it needs power to really shine. That's what I think. It needs a good, clean power source for it to really shine and show what it's capable of doing. I don't find the mids, like some people have said, to be recessed or laid back. I don't. I find them perfect. They match everything perfectly. The Dioko has got insane mid-range presentation. Insane mid-range presentation. I mean, it's just unreal. Cleanliness, everything. If there is one flaw, it's a flaw which is down to the fact that the bass could be just a little bit extra present and then complement all of those male and female voices. Some instruments give them just a little bit more body. Okay. By comparison with the Timeless, I mean, the Timeless mids sound smeared, sound thick. It's not bad. I mean, the Timeless has got amazing mids, but by comparison, you get that feeling. The same thing goes for those two, although not as present in these two, or not as noticeable in these two as with Timeless, because that one is the one that's got the most energy. Let's put it in the mid range and upper mids and so on. And the Raptgo, although it actually graphs very similar in that specific part of the spectrum to the Dioko. I don't know if it's down to the piezo. I don't know what it is. It doesn't sound like it's lacking any cleanliness or any amount of detail or anything. It doesn't sound like it. Yes, when you really go down to the nitty-gritty, you will notice a little bit of a difference. But the differences, yeah, are always minimal. So please, don't. When I say one sounds dark, one sounds, we're not talking huge day and light differences. With regards to treble, for me personally, the one that I think has got, or the two that I think have got the best treble are these two, the P1 Max and the Dioko. I actually think that the P1 Max slightly edges out the Dioko on certain things, just because again it has just got that extra little slight amount of bass, which bass will complement the rest of the frequency. It will introduce or will help introduce certain harmonics with the rest of the music that just make it sound more natural. Treble, yeah, is on the Timeless is excellent, but slightly colored. It can be a little bit too much on the S12. Yes, you also get that perception, but for some reason, although it's got more energy than the Timeless, I've always found the treble on the S12 to be, I don't know, it's not that the treble on the Timeless is grainy, no, but it just sounds better, period. We know that this has got more than that, but it just sounds better. And the HAKUGEI, I'm guessing out of these three, is probably the one that's got the best treble presentation, the best, the cleanest, the more detailed out of the three. Again, not a huge difference, not a huge day and night difference. And the one that perhaps, even though it's got so much more bass energy, the one that perhaps best simulates what we get from the Dioko and from the P1 Max. In terms of now, let's say the technicalities and so on. Well, personally, I think that, and contrary to what some people have said, I actually think that the P1 Max has got some pretty good technicalities. I think it's got some good soundstage, good imaging capabilities. It's got those two in particular are pretty good, and as well the timbre and the tonality, which the Dioko, although done in a different flavor, is able to to do as good, if not better, even in many circumstances. So the Dioko is very much, in my opinion, for me, in terms of technicalities, very much on the same level, let's put it, as the P1, maybe even better sometimes. The 7 hertz has got, for some reason, this ability to have a very large, it just creates this 3D effect, which I don't know, it just actually, these three create this very big 3D effect. So the timeless, the S12, and the Rapco. But for some reason, it just seems that imaging doesn't hit, the dot exactly somehow. I don't know why it is. It could just be my ears. It could be just, I don't know. But I would say probably that the one that then comes closest to these two in terms of technicality, so the Dioko and the P1, is the Rapco. Probably the Rapco is the one that will come closest to these two for my personal preference, for my liking. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's not forget that. In terms of tonality, I think the tonality of the P1 is very good. I like the tonality of the Dioko on certain instances, just sometimes because it's a little bit thin, it loses out. Okay, and the other one here that I think has got really good tonality, although sometimes it can be a little bit not excessive, not the right word, a little bit too much, is the Rapco. So tonality, I would give it to these two overall, with this one very close, with just, I mean, it's just the thinness which doesn't make it shine ultimately. In terms of value, well, the two value kings here are these two, period. I mean, this for $99, it's you ask yourself, if 7 hertz can do this for $99, so they've had to develop a driver, they've got a good quality shell, they've got a good quality cable, they've got some nice tips, they've got a good case. If they can do this for $99, then why do other manufacturers continue to insist on overpricing stuff, on making things just unnaturally expensive? In my opinion, I just don't understand. They want to make more money. What is it? I just don't understand. So over here, this is a no-brainer. Even if, I would even go as far as saying that even if a more neutral-ish signature is not your thing, is not what you prefer, even if you are a person that likes more kind of a sound which the Rapco or the S12 can give, this, for the price, is a must-have. It's a must-have, period. The same thing applies to the P1 Max. I mean, for 120, I've seen it for $121. Okay, not very common to see it that low, that's true, but I've seen it at that price. Usually it's around $130, So it makes it again an excellent deal. The next one, in which was, until these two came along, the Value King, the S12, okay, $150, $160. The Timeless closer to the $200 mark, and the Rapco crossing the $200, $220, $219, $230, depends on the vendors. That's the most expensive. If you ask me, does that price justify, or does it make it twice the IEM, the Dioko is? So is the Rapco twice the IEM the Dioko is? In my opinion, no. It's a different flavor, as is all of these IEMs. All of these IEMs are different flavors, focused towards a specific type of sound and for a specific crowd of people. If I was in the market to buy an IEM right now, and I only had one opportunity to buy one, and I had, let's say, $200, I'd probably save up a little bit more and buy the Rapco, just purely because it will be the one that I think will maintain itself the longest. Okay, it will maintain itself up to date the longest. That's my opinion. If, on the other hand, my budget is $150, and I'm looking for again a thicker sound, or more full sound, then the S12 would be my option. I think the S12, and especially because now that there are some other people, some other reviewers which are doing slight mods on the S12. The S12 can be improved upon in a very easy manner, and maybe bring down that excessive energy that it has in the upper frequencies that some people complain about it. But undeniably, the value king here is the Dioko. I mean, if you just don't have the money, and you at $100, that's your maximum amount that you can absolutely spend. Dioko, period. It will give you a taste of a technology which until very recently was unavailable to the majority of us because of the prices that were around, and not only the prices were excessive, but the actual IEMs themselves didn't sound any good. It was just ridiculous, and so we have to give 7 Hertz praise, because they are the ones that revolutionized the market. And as I've said before, if we live the times that we live, where planars are becoming more and more the thing, and it looks like planars are actually going to become the big next thing in terms of everybody really wanting to stick to planars as the main sort of driver to use. Definitely 7 Hertz is the one that's responsible for that tendency, and the timeless almost being now, it's on its way to becoming a year old. It still, I mean, it still makes sense if you can get this for a good price. It makes sense still to buy it. Honestly, it does. But yeah, that's it. Its younger brother is here. The younger brother is cleaner, more resolving, more detailed. It's got better technicalities overall. It only loses out to it by having less mid-bass impact, and maybe making it just a little bit extra thick, as the timeless is. Anyway, let me just quickly show you here some graphs before I let you all go. Okay, so just come a little bit closer here. There we go. All right, so let's start here. That there is the graph of the Dioko. That little inconsistency that you see there in the low end has to do with the tip. It sometimes happens with the 07 tips. I don't know why it does that, but it basically is a flat line. You don't notice any of that ups and downs as it seems to be showing there. So that's the Dioko. I'm gonna put straight away the P1, just for the sake of being easier to get an idea of what I mean by being a neutral sounding IEM. There we go, P1. That's it. So as you can see, it's the green line. Okay, the P1, it's got just a little extra mid bass over there that I mentioned, and then it's a little bit less energy. But as you can see, it's very similar, the overall graph, to the Dioko, and it just sounds, this balance between the low end and the high end, let's put it that way, it just makes it sound a little bit extra warm, and gives that thinness that you find sometimes in the Dioko. It doesn't exist. It's just a little bit. Fair enough. Ultimate resolution, the Dioko is superior. It is. But funny enough, the rest of the technicalities, they very much on par with each other. I personally, and with my music, I really didn't see a big difference. Let's take that away, and I'm going to put the timeless now, which is this one. And there straight away you can see what I was meaning. Actually, if you look carefully in the upper frequencies, they're very identical, very identical. There's not much difference here. This here, this is all coupler stuff, so I'm not gonna really. Yes, you do notice that obviously the Dioko is more detailed and there's more energy up top, but like I said, for some reason the 3D presentation of the timeless just seems to be more present. Now what you do notice obviously is more mid bass, and that just gives the whole tonality and timbre a more realistic feel. There's not as much thinness. Okay, now let's put the S12. That's the S12 there, and as you can see, the S12 again, way more bass and mid bass and everything, more energetic across the whole board there, and you notice it. You can feel that there's more that extra energy. And let me just put here the Rapco. The Rapco, as you can see, is probably the one which is the closest overall to the mids, upper mids presence and everything of the Dioko, but it's just got that extra, all that extra energy in the low end. And like I said, you would think that with all that, it would be thin sounding, or not thin sounding, it would be excessively thick sounding, and no, for some reason, no, the Rapco has got this thump which is very clean, very controlled, very textured, and it's got that same ability to be almost as resolving as the Dioko. I mean, it's not as yes, you do see some differences here and there, but the difference is not as, with my music, it's not as much as I was expecting. Okay, it's not as much as I was expecting. I would suppose that with certain genres, yes, you will see more that inability to match the Dioko's resolution. I'm not going to deny that, but with what I listen to with R&B and with some new wave jazz, I didn't find that it was that much behind the Dioko. But the Dioko, yes, is ultimately a more resolving IEM. And that's it. As you can see, the majority of them, and I'm just gonna, here's the 7 hertz again. The only one that really stands out in terms of more energy than the rest of them is the Let's Show. You can see that it's definitely got more energy than the rest of them. I mean, the mids, upper mids, and so on and so forth. But the difference basically is not that significant. The difference is just over here. It's this taming down of the mid bass that basically makes the Dioko become what it is. Very, very proficient in mid-range, very proficient in resolving, in resolution, in picking up on details, and that's it. Obviously, that comes at a cost of being then a little bit thin. And if you're used to clinical signature, if you've listened to the Blessing to Dusk and so on, and the Yume, the Midnight Edition, you will straight away identify it. Oops, battery's going down. Anyway, guys, that's it. I hope I didn't bore you too much with my talk. Definite rec. And as always, please like and subscribe. If there's any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free. And see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.